Okay. Well, yeah, good morning, everybody. Today we're going to look at the resume. That's kind of one of the biggest pieces as far as like career development, one of the things that you really want to get right. So we're going to go ahead and kind of take a look at that and see how that kind of applies to that specific field. Session one, we looked at, kind of what welcome to personal success. We looked at the ONET assessment, the job description, that type of thing, what they want, what you want. We did that type of stuff. Section two, we looked at the job application process, what's in the application. We also looked at cover letters, and then we finished the day up last time looking at professional emails. Your assignment this week was to go ahead and kind of start putting together a cover letter. It can be a draft. I'm not going to be super picky on what needs to be in it, just so long as I receive a cover letter. So, and you can just send that to my email. Today we'll look at trying to create a draft resume. So if you haven't gotten to it yet, that's not a biggie, but just try to send the draft resume and the draft cover letter together, which is actually probably a little bit more accurate. That's how you're going to send it to an employer anyways, the two together. So today we're looking at the resume, and I know a lot of you probably already have experience creating resumes, but it'll help for those of you that haven't done it in a while. It'll be a nice reminder for those of you who haven't really created one on your own. It'll be a good new experience here. So, but basically a resume is a brief document. It's supposed to summarize your education, your employment history, and your experiences that are relevant to qualifying you for a particular job you're applying for. So when you're applying with a resume, oftentimes you will have kind of a master resume with everything you've ever done on it. And then you'll have a resume that's more skill specific, more focused in on a particular job. And you can kind of cater each resume towards each job that you're applying towards. There's not really a right or wrong way to formulate a resume. It's just more or less you want to use, whatever's going to be the best suit for the opening that you're applying for. So. When we look at resumes, there are basically three major types of resumes. The most common is the chronological resume. Chronological resumes, they will include things like dates, titles, company response, the company that you worked for, responsibilities, things of that nature. A functional resume is going to be a lot more skill focused. So you're actually not going to include things like dates. You're just going to include the skills that you've acquired. It's very helpful for individuals who maybe have some employment gaps or possibly are trying to switch career fields and jump into, let's say from accounting, you wanted to switch into human services or something like that. You can identify the skills that will translate from one career field to another. So chronological and functional. Then there's a kind of a hybrid version, a combination resume. And basically that, you're going to highlight the skills that you do have, but you're also going to include things like dates, like titles, like the company that you worked for. So, it'll be kind of a hybrid. I think mine currently is more of a hybrid resume. It's probably leans more towards the chronological resume with some tendencies of the hybrid resume as well. And I have a quick video that we're going to go ahead and watch. That'll kind of go into that details as well. Here you go. Okay. Make sure the subtitles are on. Sometimes it's hard to hear these videos here.
Right, resume format is a critical part of building a great resume, which is why we're here to help you find the format that works best for you. The most common format is the chronological resume. This format lists your work history from your current or most recent job to your next most recent job, and so on. Each entry includes your job title, company name, and dates of employment, along with your tasks and achievements. This format is a great all-around choice for most job seekers. It's clear, reliable, and popular with employers. Another format is the functional resume, also known as a skills-based resume. This format highlights your skills, tasks, and job titles without revealing the dates of your job history. It's important to note that many hiring managers do not like this format because they can't use it to gauge your longevity or how recently you've used certain skills. Nevertheless, the functional resume may work well if you are changing careers or if you have gaps in your employment history. However, if you take the functional resume and add dates to the job history, then you have the much more popular combination resume. The combination resume combines the two previous formats by listing job skills and experience while also providing dates of employment. This format works well for many types of job seekers, such as those who have a diverse skill set, are trying to change careers, or have a steady work history. Employers like this format because it focuses on skills and experience while providing a clear timeline of your job history. Choosing the right format is a big part of making your resume effective, so take the time to find the type that presents you in the best light possible.
Goodwill Community Foundation, creating opportunities for a better life.
Okay, so yeah, those are the three major types of resumes. I just want to kind of go around.
Hi everyone, this is Andy Lasavita, founder of Mile Walk and the Mile Walk Academy and award-winning author of The Hiring Prophecies, here with this week's.
There you go. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so before we move forward from here, I just want to kind of get a gauge. How many of you have any one of these types of resumes currently?
Say that again.
What type of resume do you have kind of currently, if you have a resume already built and ready to go? It looks like Cynthia has one of these three. Cynthia, which one did you have? Do you have like more of a chronological or functional or combination, you think?
I have a combination one. I also have a functional, which was way in the beginning, so.
Oh, nice. Good. And anybody else want to chime in here on the type of resume that you have? If you don't
I think
have,
I got the same too.
oh, what's that?
I think I have the same too.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, for sure. You know, and you know, we can just definitely the nice part about this is that there's not one right or wrong way to do a resume, and that they're, you know, more subjective to the individual and the employment that you do have and the skills that you do have. I'll kind of show you an example real quick here of actually, I'm going to show you an example of my resume, and that's kind of more along the lines of a chronological resume here. So we'll go ahead and open that up. Okay, so up here, like I said, I kind of focus more on the skills here. These are some of the interpersonal skills, certifications, that type of thing that I have. And then I went into an experience, and so you see like the different kind of roles that I've had here. And I did cater this one. This is a little more specific. It's not my master resume because it actually has certain jobs like, you know, that are related to the field of human services, but not necessarily every job I've ever worked here. And then when we get into, you know, they'll have kind of an issue volunteer spot where you can add some of that type of information. And then I finished with education, just to try to kind of help with that whole side of things as well. So anyways, that's just kind of like a typical structure and flow towards it. You kind of want to break it into categories, and whichever category makes sense. For me, it was more like skills on top, and then, you know, into work, and then into education kind of concludes it. Some people, your biggest strength is your education, so you want to list that first and then kind of get into some of the other stuff. So it really just depends on you and what you feel comfortable with and good, you know, presenting here. So, all right, so we'll go get into some general logistics. How long should a resume be? Anybody have a thought?
I thought it was supposed to be only 1 page long.
Yeah, I mean, typically it's about a page. Sometimes, depending on the situation, you can include 2 pages. I think my resume right now is at 2. I need to kind of weed it out a little bit, cut down some, you know, on there. But yeah, typically it is about 1 page. You want the employers to be able to view your resume in like 20 seconds or less. They want to be able to just glance through real quick, hit the bullet points, and then move on to the next, you know, the next. So you want to keep your sentences precise. You want to make sure that your statements are, you know, nice and short, and they're not going to be, you know, way too long or anything. Another tip in here, I don't think I added this in here, but add numbers, because employers seem to really like numbers. I transported up to 70 students per day in a range of, you know, 35 miles, that type of thing. Players see these numbers and they, you know, maybe they don't read every line in detail, but they'll see, oh, this person managed 70 kids on a daily basis. He's got some of those types of management, that type of skills, or he's driven a motorized vehicle in a radius of 100 miles each day, so he knows how to drive pretty well, you know. So those numbers really do speak to employers. You kind of add those in there. Okay, so font, typically it should be, you know, kind of a nice clean font. So there's not necessarily a specific one, but I would not recommend doing something that's super bold or something that's super like cursive, that type of thing. Use something like Times New Roman would be fine, or Arial would be okay. Just kind of more a very nice clean font. I would suggest 10 to 12 point font is standard. So anything bigger than 12, I would just go ahead and use discretion on that. You might be able to do like, you know, your title that way, like your name, if you wanted to bring that up to 14 or something, that might be acceptable, but just try to keep it as clean as possible. Yep, consistent in style, so that, you know, there's not like bullet points here and then little ABC here and then, you know, kind of like a square over there. You want to make things consistent, and also in color and size, you know. So if you're using 12-point font at the beginning, you're going to want to use it all the way through. You don't want to switch to 10-point font by the end. And then typically it prints on 8.5 by 11 paper. It's kind of the special resume paper. Now, if you did want to, you know, use standard paper, that's fine too. But we do have special resume paper here at the main campus. So if that's something you guys want to print your resume on by the end of this, just feel free next time you're on the main campus to drop in and talk to me. I'll give you some special resume paper for that. But, you know, for all intents and purposes, if you just need a hard copy quick, no employer is going to shoot you down because you didn't print it on special resume paper, unless if it's like a law firm or something like that.
Hey, Wes.
Yeah.
I thought as far as the color, you weren't supposed to use any color. Is that still a given?
So as far as color, yes. I mean, typically you don't want to use much color at all. Sometimes it can, depending on the career that you're applying to, you can use a little bit of color. Like say in your headings, like if you wanted to use a really dark blue, almost black, or if you want to use kind of similar, like a bronze thing. But you don't want to use anything that's going to be super flashy, that's for sure. And you definitely don't want to, you know, create something that's going to be absorbed in color where it's, you know, green letters, you know what I mean? It's always going to be pretty much black ink, except for very occasional use for like headings. Yeah, very good point. I mean, it's typically colors you want to stay away from. Okay, so what should be included? We already kind of talked about this. It depends on the style of your resume, you know, but there are some things that are going to kind of translate across different resumes. The one example is your identifying information. You're always going to have a name, always going to want to have an address, a phone number, an email, because those are ways that, you know, that our employers are going to contact you. One thing that is developing, I put it in little kind of quotation marks here because it's something for you guys to be looking out for too. Social media accounts, if you have like, you know, an Instagram, especially if you're entering a field that's a little bit more like involved in marketing or a little more involved in artistic, sometimes they will like you to like connect your social media accounts to your resume as well. But I would reserve that for very specific situations. I wouldn't use social media all the time. I would just reserve it for the times that you really need it. So if you're applying for a marketing job, that makes sense. If you're applying to something like a Boys and Girls Club art director and you have art on your social media, that makes sense. Just don't use social media unless you really need to. An objective statement is basically a 1 to 3 sentence summary of your professional goals. Basically, what are you hoping to do with your life, and like kind of where do you see yourself going? So for me, it would be like, hey, I am kind of a energetic and enthusiastic, positive person. I'm looking to enter a career in counseling, higher education, or human services, that type of thing. And so, you know, that would be a good objective statement. It doesn't have to be super fancy. It just has to describe who you are and why you think, you know, which direction you see yourself going in life. Skills training certificates, that's pretty, you know, pretty straightforward. You know, just make sure you list anything, something like OSHA. You guys are going to have an OSHA certificate. That'll go in that section. Land survey, that type of thing. The one you can the trans program. That'll actually probably go in education, but you can add all the certificates that you've gained. Education would be more like degrees, but they can also include certificates. So the trans program, the trans certificate, you can list that under education. Sometimes I would suggest high school. Anything below high school, don't list that. And if you are in college, then you don't really need to list high school. You know, so if you're seeking a college degree, it's a given that you've already completed high school. So then work experience, again, the job information, title, name of organization, that is only true on a chronological resume. For functional resumes, you don't necessarily need that, but you should list the responsibilities that you did in those jobs and any accomplishments if you are doing a functional resume. If you're doing a chronological, all of that applies. So job information, responsibilities, accomplishments. And then this is where I added it. But yeah, just please try to remember to use numbers. For some reason, employers just love to see numbers on your resume. So I would highly encourage you to use that. Okay, so we're going to do a quick little exercise here. I just want to kind of go around the class. What is wrong with this resume? Does anyone have an idea? Anyone? Oh, I'm sorry. What'd you say, Seal? I missed that.
It's Anthony. but the format is all wrong.
Yeah, it's really funky here. You got the one side says career history education, then there's another side. There's a big line down the middle and a line across. Just looks really hard to read.
Right.
Anything else? Yeah, great point. Great point.
What kind of job are they applying for?
Well, look, what I'm reading on the resume, it looks like they're applying for like a software, like computer kind of job.
She's got small biz software in there.
Small biz. Yeah.
Oh my god.
She's gonna apply for some small biz here. Yep. Anything else? Do you guys have any thoughts on it? Oh, I see where you're saying that, right in the title. Oh. How about consistency as far as like colors and size and stuff? What do you think about that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, goodness, it seems like the Samantha is like really, really big up here. And then you've got these words here that some of these are like italicized and these words are straight. And then these words down here, you've got lines, but they're not all, you know, the lines aren't all matched up where, you know, it's 2014, 2015.
I think the arrows and the red just makes it look even more tacky.
Yeah, it sure does. Like these lines here. Yeah, it just makes it look tacky.
He did that.
No.
Like, what not to do.
No, that's just ouch.
What about this picture here? Should we add pictures to our resumes? No, definitely not. I don't know what she was thinking. Let's add a picture here. Yeah. How about any words? Do you see any consistency, like spelling and grammar? Are those okay?
A lot of her grammar is all off. Some stuff is in big bold, like the spin
Yeah.
or under education is big and bold, whereas it shouldn't be.
Yeah, definitely. So she's got like here, built relationships with potential clients to enhance companies' growth. By the word that she spelled there, companies, means plural companies, like there's more than one companies. What she should have said is company with a Y, apostrophe S, the growth of the company, not the companies plural growing, you know. So I think that was kind of a grammar issue here.
Right, and
oh, sorry, go ahead.
And she got career history twice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. You got career history on this side and career history on this side. This should have said something like objective statement.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, you did really good dissecting this and pointing out things. There are actually a few of these that you pointed out, like, for instance, the small biz thing. I hadn't seen that in I used this for other classes too, and that was the first time I noticed the small biz moment. So that's great. Well, here's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead. Let's see what the time is. Yeah, it's 9:39. I know we got through kind of the first little chunk of the day, and it's good time to take a break. So let's go ahead and take a break until 9:55. We'll come back, and then we're going to kind of look at some positive psychology, some wording to add into resumes, to like add them help make them stronger here. So we'll go ahead and take a break from 9:40 to 9:55.
Could you leave up that slide about what should be included?
Yeah, for sure. Here, I can add.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
Hey,
All right.
Hey, Wes, she even had software and hardware right next to each other.
Oh my goodness. Yikes. I gotta check that out quick here.
Right there with the
Yeah.
small biz, she's
Small
got
biz,
software
software,
and
hardware.
hardware.
Boy, you'd think if that was a company, it should probably say something like Small Biz Software and Hardware Incorporated or something. There's no and,
Right.
it's just software hardware. Oh goodness. Yikes. Thanks. Yep, you guys did excellent at this. You're probably the best cohort of students to dissect this, so thanks. I'll leave this up and we're gonna take a break until roughly, oh, sorry, I keep messing it up. We'll take a break until roughly 9:55 and then we'll jump back in with the next section here. So. All right.
There you go. No worries.
Okay, guys, it is 9:55 according to my clock. So let's go ahead and just turn back on your cameras, and then we'll go ahead and wait a couple minutes, let you guys get situated here. All right, perfect. Got Cynthia and Richard. Seals here. Ashley Baker showing up. Awesome. Perfect. Cool. All right, guys. So we just talked about the the basics of resumes, what should be in there, and then we just had finished up this exercise right here. What's wrong with this resume? And so we kind of dissected it. You guys did a fantastic job finding all the different kinks that were not so good about this one here. So next we're going to look at action phrases. Basically, what are the words you want to use when you're putting together a resume? There's certain words that are going to highlight other things, and there's other words that employers, when they read it, will make kind of unfair assumptions about you, and but then sometimes it's just a matter of picking out the right words, putting them in the right place. That way we can, get you employed and everything. So let me just pull up this video here. We'll go ahead and get started. This is our lady from the cover letter.
Also get the first word. The bottom line is that there are words to include and words to avoid. With my thought leadership and core competency on this topic, you'll be able to think outside of the box and really move the needle. Trust me, I'm a hard worker and it's all in my wheelhouse. Now, if what I just said sounded off, you're not wrong. Half of the words I used are actually ones to avoid on your resume. Don't remember which ones? Those are no-nos. No business lingo, no givens, and nothing too general. Now, I'll show you the words you want to include. Strong action verbs that speak to your value at past jobs. To convey your communication skills, use words like collaborated, conveyed, instructed, performed. For creative positions, get crafty with authored, brainstormed, briefed, communicated, conceptualized. For financial gigs, these pay off. Audited, classified, halted, equalized, dispensed. For sales, these words sound marketable, captured, conserved, converted, earned, generated. Lastly, for all those tech positions, get technical with words like advanced, architected, automated, coded, deployed. Well, I think that's everything. Remember that the smallest moves are sometimes the smartest. Like and subscribe for more tips.
Okay, so she gave a really good kind of brief overview on, some different words that you're going to want to use for different occupations. I actually really like that she went ahead and went that extra mile to say things like, hey, in a finance situation, you're really going to want to find a word like audit or a word like, expensed. For something more technical, you want to use a word like deployed or engineered, constructed. Something a little bit more, sales approach. She said something like connected, or she used a lot of C words. I'm trying to remember all the other words she used. But she used quite a few different words to convey that, hey, these specific words, when you use them, it puts a lot of meat on your resume. So employers can see that. They can see that you're, very active with the jobs that you do have. And so anyways, we'll look at a few different words here. This is a list of the 100 greatest words to add on your resume. Again, it kind of depends on, some of your, the specific field that you're applying to. So for example, provided would be good pretty much across the board. Analyzed would probably more be more specific towards like computers or research, that type of thing. Consult would be a good word to use. You know, that could be pretty versatile here. Hosted, headed, gained, observed, obtained. One word that isn't on here that I kind of feel like should be, and I think they've kind of captured it with analyzed, because these are all verbs, but one word that should be on here is data. For some whatever reason, employers really like the word data, specifically in fields that utilize things like, you know, technology. So for example, if you're using a road construction, you're a manager for road construction, you know, you could say analyzed land survey data to figure out where I'm gonna, you know, put my flags, whatever, you know, that type of thing. So I guess analyze is the word that they use to connect to data, but yeah. Revised, secured, specific, structured, supervised, taught, targeted, trained, unified, utilized, valued, planned, yeah, oversaw, overhaul, you know, so operated. A lot of these words, you know, these words will, you know, add a lot of strength, and you just want to use them as applicable. So I can go ahead and send this list to Callie and make sure she gets this to you as well. That way you guys have this list of the different words to use as well. Okay, any questions on this before we
Took
move
a
on?
picture of it.
Yeah, sure. I can go ahead and, you know, I can make sure this list gets to Callie and she can send it on over to all of you guys via your student email. That way you have it for future reference, or when you're getting ready to put together that resume too. So, all right, awesome. So we're going to move on to the next section here. My degree is in human services psychology, and so I always think about how is what you say, how is it interpreted, how is it presented, and how is it like analyzed and kind of understood by other people. There are some words that are out there that have the same meaning in a more positive manner, and that will actually show your employers, hey, I'm more of a positive person. I'm a person that you want to work here. I'm going to improve your work environment rather than kind of weighing it down. So certain words like, say, for example, the word problem, that can be adjusted to say the word challenge. Now, challenge has the same meaning as a problem. Hey, it's something that is in the way, it's inhibiting me, but it's a challenge leaves you with the idea, hey, I can overcome this. You know, it's not impossible. This isn't just a problem. It's something that I have the opportunity to get through, you know. Issue is a concern. An issue is something that somebody might look at and say, oh man, that person's, there's issues there. There's things that are not good there. A concern shows that you have empathy and that you care about the situation, that you want it to be better. Failure can be an opportunity to grow, you know. So failure, if you just list that, it doesn't have any sort of redeemable quality, but you can switch that word into opportunity, you know, through that, you know, this unfortunate event that I had, that led me to this opportunity, you know, instead of necessarily just saying, hey, this didn't go well, I failed at this. You're saying, hey, I had the opportunity to learn from that and to grow from that type of thing. And we're going to touch base on that on the interview module as well, about, you know, kind of how to reshape some of the not so good parts in your employment history to make it a little stronger, so that employers, when you're interviewing, they can see the strengths that you do have to bring. Annoy, a lot of times it can be translated as tenacious. So if people have said like, oh, you're just being annoying, you know, Tenaciousness is basically relentlessness. It's basically the idea of, hey, I've got this goal that I have and I want to see it through and make sure it's good. So tenacious would be another word for annoy. Aggravate would be initiate, so a lot of times people feel like, oh man, why is this person doing everything to rock the boat? But usually the people who are aggravating, they're putting things into motion. They've got that leadership ability to initiate things. Some people say laziness, a way you can kind of overcome, get through that kind of piece is through peacefulness. It can be a peaceful person that doesn't necessarily have to feel rushed or feel anxious or feel that way. So anyways, it's just a matter of, and I guess my encouragement to you is think through some of the words that you say and then pause for a second and think, is there another way I can say this that will leave the other person that hears it thinking something positive? And then as you start saying these words, you switch out things like problems to challenges, issues to concerns, lazy to peaceful. Once you start making that switch and start saying that, it becomes second nature. And soon you end up thinking things more positively as well, which just has a huge ramification. So I would just encourage you to start kind of thinking through your vocabulary and think, hey, can I adjust this at all and make it a little more positive? That's going to help you long term in the job, but it's also going to help you get the job, because employers are looking for people that are positive and people that can add a lot of, growth and value to their, to their company here. Okay, another thing too is, I just wanted to add this in here. I thought it was a really good picture from Grammarly, that site I had mentioned. Real quick, let's just start with somebody, whoever wants to volunteer for this. What does this sentence say?
I look forward to hearing from you.
Okay, now let's, yeah, very good, thank you. What do you guys think this sentence means?
Desperation.
Hearing back.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. So how does it make you feel when you're reading it? Do you feel like the person's really looking forward?
Is it on? It might make them feel obligated or like pushy.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, for sure, because it kind of puts a pressure that wouldn't necessarily be there. Anybody else have a thought on this? There's something I wanted to point out in a second. Anybody else have a thought, about how this sentence would make the reader feel?
Rewording it.
So I'll go ahead and point out what I was seeing in it, and maybe this doesn't resonate with you, and that's okay. That's okay. But when I read this sentence, I look forward to hearing from you, and there's a big red X behind the sentence. It's kind of this big crisscross. My first initial thought when I glance at it, I don't read it in detail. I read it, I automatically think I don't look forward to meeting you. Because that red X is in the background. It kind of subconsciously puts the idea X means no. And so when you're reading a sentence that says yes, but then there's a meaning behind it that says no, then your brain automatically thinks no. And so this whole thing, I thought it was a kind of a neat picture of a concept that happens in real life quite often. You can say all the right things in an interview. You can write all the right things in a cover letter or on a resume. But if what you're saying doesn't match up with what you're feeling, those things tend to come through for employers, you know. Even though the sentence says all the right words, I look forward to hearing from you. There's a big red X behind it. And what's said behind a word a lot of times has more meaning than the word itself. So anyways, I would kind of consider too, like when you're getting ready for an interview, try to have some time to make some time to do some positive self-talk. You know, try to talk about those things about yourself in a positive way. Because if you're not used to talking to yourself or telling yourself you're good, or hey, I'm a good worker, I'm a peaceful person, I'm dedicated, I'm tenacious. If you don't say those positive things to yourself, then what they're going to read is that big red X. They're not going to care that it says, I look forward to meeting you. You know, they want to see that what you say is legit with how you feel and who you are. So anyways, that's my encouragement too, is like when you're thinking about words and you're thinking about stuff, make sure it's true. Make sure it lines up with what your heart is. And if you know it's true, but you don't feel it's true, spend some time and tell yourself that, you know, remind yourself of all the accomplishments each and every one of you has, because I'm sure every one of you, I mean, even just getting to know you in a short time, I can see strengths in every single one of you guys. You all make excellent, you know, workers in that field and in any field, guys. I mean, even the ONET assessment, that was amazing. Each one of you has your own strengths right there. So anyways, I'll get off my soapbox there, but I just want to encourage you to look a little deeper sometimes, you know, on that, you know, because sometimes those employers can see it. Okay, so with all that in mind, with the careers and everything, I kind of want to get into looking at formulating our resumes. I'm not looking for perfection here. I don't really necessarily need a 100% polished, clean, amazing resume. I'm just looking for a very basic draft. So if you want to go ahead and kind of start working on that, if you haven't done the cover letter as well, if you want to send the cover letter and the draft resume, and you can send that to my email, and then that way I can go ahead and take some time, make some suggestions, and then I'm going to follow up with you guys individually, and we'll create a plan to help you start applying for jobs. So let's go ahead. If you have, for the next, say, 30 minutes or so, we're just going to start working on our resumes here. Do you guys have access to Microsoft Word?
Yeah.
We have to take.
Not where we are.
Oh, okay. You guys don't. Okay, that's fine. Cynthia, how about you? You have access to Microsoft Word?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, and then Matthew, how about you?
What's that?
Do you have access to Microsoft Word?
I can get there.
Okay. Okay, so we can do this a couple different ways. And I'll get your guys' vibe and see which way you want to do this. I envisioned going on Microsoft Word and starting to create a draft resume that way. If that's the way you want to do it, that's okay. Here's another method that might work. If you want to start creating an Indeed account and then start to formulate your resume that way as well, that's another method of creating a really legitimate resume.
All right.
So let's go ahead and work for the next 30 minutes or so. And we're going to just start kind of working on our draft resumes. And then we'll kind of dive into a few more items here before we, you know, the rest of the day here. And then I will be here. So if you guys have questions, feel free to just interrupt, you know, go ahead and ask me. I'm more than glad to help however I can.
If I got one made up, can I work off of that or what?
Yeah, for sure. If you've already got one, go ahead and just kind of edit it to, maybe bring it to the most up to date, and then you can just send it to me when you've got it. Does everyone have my email address? I think you all have it, but just in case, right here, oh, you can't hardly see it. It's wwilson@lco.edu. I can send that in the chat as well. That way everyone's got it. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on resumes for the next half an hour or so. If you don't have access, I know Asil said that you guys don't have access. So if you don't have access to Word, let's go ahead and have you jump on Indeed, and then you can go ahead and start creating an account through Indeed, and that'll help kind of generate a resume that way. And if you, I'm not sure, Matthew, you said you had one already. Cynthia has access to Word, and so does Richard. So, all right, awesome.
Ask her how to access, you said?
What was that, Matthew? I'm sorry, I missed that.
What'd you say? Ask Callie how to access Microsoft or what?
If you have access to Microsoft Word, go ahead and start working on your resume that way. And if you don't, there's a thing called .com, and that will actually help generate a resume for you. And you can do it that way too, however you want. Either way, it's just got to get sent over to me. So.
Hey, Wes.
Yeah.
NobleResume.com is also another good one to help set up your resume. It kind of pings you through what you need to put in there.
Okay. One thing, I have a little bit of concern about some of the resume sites. Some of them are great. The only concern I have is something Richard ran into earlier. A lot of the sites that are out there, you actually have to pay a big subscription fee to access your resume. So they'll ask you all the information in the world, and then when the time comes for them to hand over the resume, they're like, oh yeah, gotta pay me $50. So, anyways, I just, yeah, that's my only concern with it. But yeah, if it's free and it's a good resource, yeah, definitely that's another option. There are resume generators out there too.
It's not letting me do nothing. You're muted.
Are you in Microsoft Word right now?
No, I can't even leave this video chat.
Here's, I'm gonna end screen share for a second.
Okay.
Okay. So now if you want to go ahead, will it let you access Word now?